Hey, thank you all for joining. We'll give it maybe 1 or 2 minutes. People are still filtering in. Very excited you are here.
All right. Good morning, everybody. It's so great to see you here. As we've been preparing for this, seeing all the signups come in has been just, there's many words that can describe that feeling. Like, oh gosh, there's people that are interested too. It's so exciting. My name is Alexandria Dickey Tipton. I'm actually the youth director here at First, but I'm one of 8 on our green team here at the church. We also have Catherine Schrillo and Toby Eisentrager. And from the 3 of us this morning, you're going to hear from us about precious plastic and why it's a thing and why it needs to be a thing here in the Golden Isles. I moved here about almost 3 years ago from Tennessee, which is where I first heard about precious plastic. And then it was a Wednesday night supper, and Catherine was talking about how we use styrofoam and how we just needed to not do that. And I was like, yes, you're right. Like, we need to do something. And we started talking, and I mentioned precious plastic, and then we started a green team, and then it's basically come to this point, and we're so excited that you're here. So time is precious. I understand that. I have 2 kids, one on the way as well. So let's get started, and yeah, let's get started. It's gonna be great. So first things first, let's start with the reason for the existence of this project. You probably all know about the massive global plastic pollution problem we have. And if you don't, I'm surprised you're here. So less than 10% of all of the plastic generated globally is recycled. Less than 10%. And instead, you see plastic polluting the environment. It's being found in trees, on beaches, almost said benches again, in the ocean, in animals, and even in our food and water. So, why don't more people use plastic better instead of wasting it? Industrial recycling exists. It does, but the equipment is very expensive and the knowledge is mostly inaccessible for people. And even though plastic is such a big topic, the industry keeps on producing plastic as single use and disposable. So we have to empower the people to make change. So then that's where we come to the solution. So our solution with precious plastic is a network of people who work together to tackle the plastic pollution on a daily basis. So changes in the industry are coming too little and too slowly, but change has to happen now. So precious plastic is creating solutions that empower everyone worldwide to build up strong local networks of people tackling the plastic pollution by turning plastic waste into valuable materials and to inspire more people to take action. So precious plastic became a thing in 2012 by a guy named Dave in the Netherlands. And from then we had version 1, version 2, version 3, and now we're at version 4 in 2020. He's gotten groups of people together to come up with different solutions and ideas and ways to get the information out there. So everything precious plastic is available all the time, everywhere. So first things first, there's a small scale version. So the core of Precious Plastic Solution is to enable people to work with plastic. We know that wood and metalworking techniques are very known and accessible, but not a lot of people outside the industry really know how to deal with plastic as a material. So Precious Plastic creates small-scale recycling machines, which can easily be built and modified by people like you and me. So of those machines, there's 4 of them. There's the shredder, which I feel like is self-explanatory. It shreds the plastic into small pieces. Then you have the extrusion machine, which creates a line of plastic out of that shredded plastic. The injection, so it injects into the plastic into molds, and it's usually used for smaller projects. And then you have the compression machine, which also uses molds, but it's for larger projects, and it slowly presses it into the mold. And all of that comes from collecting the plastic. So we have small scale, and then we also have semi-industrial. So the way that they've created Precious Plastic is you can do it as a small little community, like you could do it in your garage if you wanted to, or you can create a business out of it. So while the first series of machines are very small scale and super accessible, a line of semi-industrial machines were developed to process bigger volumes of plastic waste. These machines require a bigger investment, but remain DIY and replicable and create a much bigger output, allowing people to turn their recycled plastic into a profitable business. So again, with the semi-industrial, we have a Shredder Pro, then we have the Extrusion Pro, and then also with this one, we have the additional sheet press. So it makes plastic sheets. So after all of that, using those machines, you can create things. Yep, exactly. So knowing the machines and tools to work with recycled plastic opens a whole world of possibilities. So just think of all the things that are made from plastic that you use every day. There's quite a lot. All of them can be made from recycled plastic as well. You've got household products, jewelry, art, furniture, construction material. Precious Plastic shows how to create a big variety of inspiring outcomes and keeps on exploring more. So there are 7 different types of plastic. So if you grab something made out of plastic and you look at the bottom, you'll see the little recycle symbol with a number inside. And it tells you what type of plastic is regarding that number. The Precious Plastic has done and continues to do research to find the best plastics to work with safely. Because anytime you melt something or work with something, there's going to be some sort of, what's the word? There's a word. What? Yes. So of the 7, there's 3 that they've found that have the least amount of risk to use. Thank you so much. Sometimes I call it mom brain, and sometimes I blame being pregnant. Who knows? We never know. So of the 7, 2, 5, and 6 are the 3 that are best to work with in regards to these machines of the research that Precious Plastics has done. So you've got 2, which is the HDPE, so high density polyethylene. 5 is the PP, the polypropylene, and then you've got 6, which is represented by PS, and it's polystyrene. And I mean, from those machines, they've created these beautiful projects, like the carabiners and the European outlet cover. All these things. I mean, we could obviously create a U.S. outlet cover as well, but but one of the things I'm really excited for is creating a brick wall out of recycled plastic. Like, how cool would that be? But all of these things can be made out of recycled plastic with these machines. And these machines can be made out of recycled materials as well. All that is on the website, which we'll get to. And look at this. Like, how cool it would be to have a recycled plastic recycled plastic playground that we have made as a community. Like, it just so cool.
Possibilities are endless.
Exactly. Benches, goes on. Like, there's so many things. So next up, we're going to talk with Toby, and he's going to talk about some different platforms of how you can access this information.
Thank you, Alex. All right, I'm going to take a dive with you onto the Precious Plastic website, mostly. Some of you, or most of you, probably already looked at it. but I wanted to just highlight a couple of sections that are interesting. So the main site is preciousplastic.com. This is where you can find all the material, the starter kits, the how-tos, the maps, everything I'm going to talk about is at preciousplastic.com. The one section where you can learn a lot on how in detail the whole process works is called the Academy. So you see on the left side, it goes over all the different topics, and each of those topics has a video attached to it. It's all funny little YouTube videos, but they're all scientific as well. So for example, the one about safety explains how to be safe working with plastic, and then there's the certain videos that show you how to build each type of the machines, and very in detail and in depth. So go ahead and look through this, and feel free to skip any sections that you are not interested in right now, but I can definitely recommend doing that. The next section is called the Precious Plastic Map. And so that was part of the reason why we started a community point, because as you see in the southeast of the US, there's just not a lot of representation. This map does not show volunteers themselves, but it shows established workspaces. That's part of the reason why it's so empty. So that was the first step we had to do for our community. We have to get together, create a community point to organize and start this local universe, because I mean, as you imagine, you can't really do it all on yourself. Like we were like, what all do we have to do to get started? Okay, we're gonna need people collecting. Okay, then we have a bunch of trash. Then we need to build a shredder. Then you can shred, but then we have raw materials, and so we also need an extrusion or a sheet press or something. And that's a lot to bite off as yourself or just a few people, right? So it's always a community effort. So our purpose of today is to connect everyone together to see what are your talents, what do you want to do, how do you want to help, which part of this ecosystem do you feel like wanting to support. And so let me zoom out a little bit to other areas. I like to go to the Netherlands. I'm from Germany. I studied in the Netherlands, so I'm familiar with how things work over there. And so this is the beautiful city of Amsterdam. And so you have, for example, one collection point here where the community can drop off in Almere. And then in Utrecht, there's another drop-off point. And then if you go into the city, this is a 3D printing workspace, which can use the shredded raw material to 3D print items. And then here's a sheet press workshop. So as those are located relatively close to each other, you can imagine that it's better to be able to locally deliver the raw material from one to the second instead of putting it on a truck to ship it halfway across the country. So once you, if you go to the website, you can create a user account. And when you're ready to start a workspace, you can add your PIN to it. The next section is events. So we just noticed that I put the wrong date in here for ours. So it's not the 21st, but okay. But you see, so there's an event happening in Leipzig, one in Russia and one in France. And then another large section of the website is called the share section or the how-to section. This is where you can learn about, where you can learn and share your knowledge that you have. So here's, for example, one guy in India who's creating a stool for the bathroom. And they actually sell them for relatively cheap. And it tells you what to do to produce those. He has shared the shapes for your machines that you need to use to assemble it. I think I saw another really good one here. This is interesting. Is a guy like instead of using power for the shredder, he connected his bicycle to it. that's pretty creative too. And once he started sharing it, I've seen other people on the chat, on the Discord, talking about it, wanting to do it as well. So it's pretty cool. So all kinds of stuff. It's a very large section of the website. These are CNC files showing you how to go, videos. It's part of the really being part of the community is a big part of this program. Openly sharing everything back to the community. Then the next section I wanted to highlight is the BAZAR. So it's available at bazar.preciousplastic.com. And here's where you can get a feel of what products are ready to be sold. You can look to buy machines. You can buy molds for the machines. You can buy and sell the raw materials, like plastic raw materials. You can buy completed products from people. So I like to always go in the furniture section. So here's that stool we talked about. It's just $22. I think it's pretty good. Here's a bench from the Netherlands. Coffee table from Italy. So it's just amazing what kind of products you can create. It's a neat section of the website you can dive into. It also helps you if you're looking to start a business, to try to figure out what are other companies selling for. You can contact the sellers as well. I had some talks with some guys in Canada about plastic raw materials as well. So yeah, that's a website. And the last thing on the website is STARTERKITS. So let's go there. So once you identify kind of like how do you want to work with in the local community, there's download kits available for each type of workspace. So for example, if you're interested to be a collection point, you can download this collection point starter kit. It's basically a zip file, and it contains logos, business plans, basically everything that you need to get started on a collection point. We downloaded the one for the community point. For example, it includes the presentation we've been going through, the logos. Our logo that we created was based upon this material. But then, of course, for all other types of workspaces, they each have a starter pack. They're free, of course, like everything at Precious Plastic is open source, available to everyone. And next, Catherine will talk about the universe.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I am pleased to present the end of the presentation, which is about the universe and how we all get together to make this happen. Putting everything together, the Precious Plastic universe is an ecosystem of people, tools, machines, and platforms to tackle plastic pollution, and we all play a part, whether it's collecting, building, melting, transforming. The universe we're provided with, it gives us everything to become activists and entrepreneurs on a daily basis. Okay, so one of the coolest things about Precious Plastic, like we've been talking about, is that it's open source. Everything's shared online. Everything's free. They are empowering us to do this. Knowledge, blueprints, tutorials are accessible. The people who use them can copy them, change them, share what they've done, and improve them in that way. You can start now, and it's free. You know, like Toby said, even this presentation, we just had to study it and be ready to talk about it. It's that simple. So let's talk a little bit about community. The openness of the project enabled people worldwide to start the fight against plastic pollution. It's hard to keep track of all this, but currently we feel like there are 400 workspaces who built precious plastic machines and more than 80,000 like-minded people involved that come together to meet and exchange ideas online, help each other, and find solutions to problems. You can see a few examples there of workspaces. Global hacks. So many of these people and groups, like I said, came together to modify the machines to be even more accessible or practical for their specific needs and contexts. From alternative materials, machine combinations, mobile or human-powered solutions, there are countless creative hacks with useful modifications and upgrades. Like we said, while working with the machines and exploring the possibilities, everyone has different approaches, ideas, and needs. As a result, the sum of all the people of the entire worldwide ecosystem make up a huge spectrum of diverse products and materials. And other than transforming waste into something new, there's so much more happening in this community. So this is one of my favorite parts of this. Beyond, you know, recycling and creating new things with plastic, we're about global change. So cleanups, workshops, hands-on workshops, presentations like we're doing here, just spreading knowledge to help us steward this world better and show the hidden value of plastic. Okay, so plastic is a precious material with exciting and useful purposes, but what we're trying to do here is show people that there's no such thing as disposable plastic. Plastic lasts for hundreds of years. This is an alternative recycling program that ensures that plastic will be reused and put to a purposeful use. And with that said, we're all recyclers. So we have some, David, will you pass out the QR codes that are sitting right there? We have some sign-up sheets. It got kind of in-depth because we were wondering who had interest in what our expertise were here, what you were willing to do to help, what you were interested in. So if you would scan those with your phone, I think you just open the photo app and scan the QR code and pass the QR codes around. It'll take you to a Google form, and help us to start compiling the information that we need to start creating this community. Please just put in the information you're comfortable with, and we'd be very grateful. We do have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram account. Both are at PP Golden Isles. What else do we need to know? We will be working on a website soon that's tied to the church. And we'll probably have regular meetings at some point. We are working on that right now. Again, we have to see what interests are. So with all that said, we do have a 30-minute video that goes in depth. Again, provided to us by Precious Plastic because they've thought of everything that we would like to show, and we welcome you to stay, but we also wondered if anyone had any questions. Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Well, see, that's the thing. Oh, yes. She was wanting to know my exposure to precious plastic and was it successful, correct? Okay. Well, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but I actually haven't seen this. I haven't seen a live workshop in person. I've only seen videos. I scoured Precious Plastic website everywhere. We've actually tried contacting other workshops and workspaces in nearby to us here in preparation for this to try to see it in work. But it seems like people are getting hard to get in touch with.
Florida seems to have an active precious plastic community, but we've reached out and haven't heard back. And it looks like the next closest one was in Athens at some point, but again, their Instagram kind of fell off pre-COVID.
So yeah, the most active one that we have seen on social media or via video would be a flight away. So we're working on trying to figure that one out so we can actually go see this in person, talk to somebody, get a feel for it. Because, I mean, we've never done this before. So we are all starting off at the same place, but we've got this wealth of information right in front of us on the website, which is wonderful. Mm-hmm. I haven't checked in there since I moved down here, so I don't know if they've continued on or, of course. Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to ask the question in the microphone, or I can repeat it? So just to get the question right, what the question is, have we considered who to purchase equipment? Yes, sure. So I guess, so like instead of having individual people purchase equipment to do it, would organizations do it? Yes. So there's different types of, let's say, business models for this, right? You could run it just on the side, or you can actually be a small scale recycling company, or you can be a nonprofit doing something like that.
Yes, that is a wonderful idea to talk to different townships to see about purchasing the machines. There's, like you said, there's multiple different ways that we could do this, and that's why we're starting this here to see where that interest lies, so we can connect the right people together to get this going. Because one of the things, I mean, what was it, 2 years ago now that we talked to Lee with Keep Going Now is Beautiful?
Yes.
Yeah. So about 2 years ago, we met with Lee and we mentioned this whole idea to her, and she's like, "Yes, let's do it. Let's get behind it," and so on and so forth. And of course, we all know what happened because we're still living in it. But one of the ideas that she mentioned was possibly linking arms with GICA to see about creating projects for the students at GICA to build the machines or build molds, create what we need to be able to go from there, which would save money, but then also get us to the point where we can actually start doing as well. So we've started those conversations, but
yeah, and I guess part of the
Correct.
problem with the government as well is that for many years now, I don't know when plastic started, 70s, 60s, not sure. We've entrusted the government to recycle our plastics, and it has always said, okay, we have a recycling bin, whatever you put in there is gonna get recycled. It's really, the numbers are really not high, like you were mentioning. Worldwide is less than 8%. There's a report from the OECD that has details in each country. The best country, I'm proud of my own country, Germany, has 56%. Again, more than 40% is just getting into the waste bin. I think in the US it's 18%. It's just not acceptable. That's why the whole idea is here. Even though a governmental funding program exists, it's not ideal. And part of the problem also is that the recyclables are getting mixed into the containers, which increases the cost of recycling those. Even if you have really expensive machines with machine learning, when they sort those, it's a really hard problem, even if you have a lot of money to do. And that's where this also comes in on the collection point. We will be asking when it's time to do so, to collect, we will be asking to have those plastics sorted. For example, we'll ask, give us number 2 plastic, number 5 plastic. Rinse it out. You know, it's problematic, but if you don't rinse it out, we'll have to rinse it out later, and by that time there's mold and whatever on it. So it has to happen if it actually gets recycled. Mm-hmm. It's just, I wish it would be easier and we could use more machines, but unfortunately it just does not work on an industrial scale to get up to close to 100%. Yeah.
Any other questions?
You want to ask the question in here for the recording? I think it's long enough.
We are broadcasting this as well. This is why.
My question is, I watched them do the build of the first shredding machine, the first generation, and the builder had a box that was a kit to assemble the shredder portion of the unit. I could not discern where he said you could buy that particular piece of equipment. And I was wondering if any of you had diligently looked through that and found what that source was. He had gone to a package that had all of the pieces for the shredding section alone, not the motor or not the gear drive.
Okay. We'll definitely have to dive into that and see.
So there's a Discord. So it's a chat program that a lot of the community uses, that you can sign on, and there's different channels for the different types of workspaces where people routinely ask for, like, is this gear ratio enough, or is this amount of horsepower enough for the shredder? I haven't dabbled into starting to build anything myself, but it seems like people at least are seeking support there. So that would be a channel, and I can put you in touch with someone as well.
We'll figure it out one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is a place to ask those questions.
It's part of the wonderfulness of this whole thing. All right. Anybody else?
And you can also, like on the BAZAR, I know you can get in touch with places that sell the whole machines or parts for it. So, and everyone is like in the sharing spirit. So I would think that if you would contact one of those sellers that sells a machine that's similar to what you're building, that they would be more than happy to recommend you something. Mm-hmm. If you contact someone in the US or in Canada, that's probably a similar source.
All right. Well, if you'd like to stay and watch the video, we welcome you to. Otherwise, thank you for coming. Greatly appreciate you. And we'll start contacting people and linking people together to help figure out what the next step is. Do we need to have another one of these meetings to get more people involved? Are we ready to get someone to start building a machine, collection points, so on and so forth? So this is just the first step. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you being part of that first step. And we so very much look forward to seeing where this goes from here. So thank you so much.
Everyone okay with the QR codes?
Oh, yes, that is a good question.
Okay.
I was like, maybe this might work. We'll see.
Perfect. So yeah, we have the version 4 detail video starting now, and we'll be around to talk with you guys too.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. Sit down and watch.
All right, welcome to the full launch video of Precious Plastic version 4. It's a bit like one of those keynotes where they release a new product, except this one is going to be a bit rougher because we're in a rough building. And also it's going to be quite a lengthy video because, well, it's a lot of work that went in here. 1 year full development with 100 volunteers, so it's like 90,000 hours of work compressed into like a half-hour video. So it's not that long if you think about it like that. But I would recommend to get some popcorn and get comfortable. And I would also recommend to really watch the whole video, because then you really understand where we're at and what we're going to do. But you could also skip to specific chapters. So first, I'm going to give a little bit of a recap on version 3, where we currently are at. Then I'm going to talk a bit about the problem, why we're actually doing all of this. Then a bit about the machines, so the developments we did there. About product design, seeing all the new products we developed. And then Joseph is going to talk a little bit about the business side and the BAZAR. Then Kat is going to talk about the starter kits. Then Mattia is going to talk about our online community platform. Then I'll show you a few research projects we've also been working on. And finally, I'll give you some insights on how we actually developed this whole thing with volunteers for 1 year. So I would say have fun. Okay, so currently Precious Plastic is set up around these 4 different machines. We released them 3 years ago, and people all around the world started using them. So right now we have over 400 workspaces around the world of people that recycle the plastic. We also have over 70,000 people in the forums that talk about these machines and share their feedback and updates. So there's quite a big community developed around it. And most people that build these machines use them for educational reasons, to really show other people you throw in plastic waste and something valuable comes out. So that's been a very powerful tool. However, the recycling numbers are not necessarily that high. Also because it's difficult to do this on a daily basis to sustain yourselves, because we never really provided the business models to do so. So a lot of people in the community now really have to figure it out themselves. And this is something we really wanted to improve for version 4, to increase the recycling rates. And actually around the world, we have way more people that want to recycle plastic. So if you can see on our map, over 12,000 people put their hands up saying they want to get started recycling. So there's a big demand of more people that want to do something about it, and the world needs more recycling. So that's why we started building version 4, to really increase recycling all around the world. And first let me show you a little bit what is actually the problem again, why we're doing this. So it's 2020 now, and we're all quite aware of our big plastic waste problem we have around the world. And I actually remember when I started this project a few years back that 2020 used to be this milestone for companies, to reduce their amount of waste or not use any virgin plastic or be fully circular. But that didn't really happen. The line of plastic production still goes up every year. More and more plastic is being made, and more plastic ends up in the landfill, the ocean, or it gets burned. Anyway, the upside is that we did become very aware of our big plastic problem. It became a global topic to talk about. And we might not have the solutions yet, but at least we start thinking about it. And stuff like this is also very complex, these kind of problems, because they're massive and they involve many different parties. So you also need to have many different people working on many different solutions. So for instance, on the one hand, we need to reduce the amount of plastic we produce. Stop using disposable stuff. Plastic is not a disposable material. But we also need to clean up all the plastic that's already out there in the oceans, making sure it's not there anymore. We need to recycle and reuse all the plastic that we already made. And meanwhile, we need to reinvent new materials that can replace plastic in the future. So we need people and organizations to work on many different solutions. And as precious plastic grows, we get involved into more areas. But our main focus is still on recycling, to make sure that all the plastic that's out there gets recycled and reused in a proper way. So one of the main things we did for this version is making sure that people can focus. Because we noticed in our own community that the people focusing on one specific machine get a much better output. And it also avoids them having to build 3 different machines and knowing how to run them. So we really wanted to work towards that, having specialists in our community. And we also developed the machines for that. So the machines are more robust, have a higher output, and they're also a bit more complex to build, but you only need to build one. So now I want to show you some prototypes that we made. So let's start with our shredder. And this is a crucial machine for recycling because it basically shreds your plastic waste into small flakes. And we already had a shredder, but it was too small. We needed a bigger one. So first we started looking into a single X shredder, where the blades are turning around, and meanwhile a piston that runs on air compression pushes the plastic into the blade so it shreds. It's a nice technique, but it was a bit over complex and too expensive to actually replicate. So we started looking into a dual X shredder, where you have 2 blades that pull in the plastic and meanwhile they shred it. And this is a nice mechanism, worked pretty well. But there's a lot to configure here and really fine-tune. So for instance, the configuration of the blades, like how many blades do you need, what's the thickness, how are they aligned. And also the blade itself, like what are the amount of teeth you have there and how big are the teeth, because this really influences the way how you shred. So once we sort of sorted out the whole mechanism behind shredding, we looked into the machine as a whole. So what's the frame where it's on, what kind of motor do we need? But we also really spent quite some time on the box itself, because we really wanted to make sure that you could easily take it apart and open it up, because this makes it much easier to maintain and repair the machine in the future in case something goes wrong. So this is roughly the development of our shredder. Let's now have a look at our extruder. So for an extrusion machine, you basically have a screw that moves around and transports the plastic from one side to the other, and then meanwhile it heats up and it comes out molten. So we already had an extruder machine, and it was a pretty good starting point for our new machine, but it was not really, the output wasn't really high enough, and also it wasn't really made to run all day long. It really needed to be more robust. So we took this as a starting point and built a new prototype, which was basically a beefed up version from that one. Bigger motor, more solid build, and also really adding up some sensors to measure what's going on for the temperature and the pressure to really make sure we fully understand this machine. But it still kind of had the same output, but we knew exactly what was going on. And then in the end, we increased the screw diameter. So this is the original one, and this is the new one. So as you can see, a much bigger screw, so it has a much bigger output. Yeah. So now, let me show you our sheet press, which was quite a challenge. And for the sheet press, we really had to start from scratch, which meant a bit more work. So basically, we wanted to make a machine that can make a big sheet from recycled plastic. So we started off with the hot press, where you have two hot surfaces that press together the plastic and compress a sheet. This worked okay, but it was a bit of a slow process because the whole machine had to heat up and cool down. So we figured maybe we should separate these processes. So we got an old pizza oven and a cold press. And then you first heat it up externally, and then you put it in somewhere else to press it together. This was a much quicker process than the hot press. So we kind of liked it, but we wanted a bigger sheet. But big pizza ovens like that don't exist. So we had to build our own oven, really from scratch. Also figuring out how do you even like open doors and stuff like that. And with this, we also needed a bigger press. So we had to build this beast. And it's really heavy. Yeah, so this kind of worked okay, but we were still like, it's not really what we really want, because it's a very bulky, big system. So then actually we went back again to the drawing table, and we finally had a final version of the machine, which is kind of an efficient version of the hot press, a combination of all of these machines together. So building a machine is one thing, but you also need to do a lot of material testings. So here is one of the first sheets, for instance. It's kind of a sheet, but also not really how we have it in mind. So then they got a little bit better over time, but this one, as you can see, is still very warped. So it's not a smooth, flat sheet. Improve. Then they got better, smoother, and more flat, but the surfaces were still very rough. So we also need to make sure they were smooth. And we managed. So here we have it, our final machines. We have a shredder, extruder, and a sheet press. And they're all semi-industrial, which means they're not hobby level, but also not super industrial. They're sort of there in the middle. And one thing we always keep in mind when we develop a machine is that they're friendly to use. And not on super high speeds or a lot of noise. We really like to make plastic recycling a nice job. So the machines are really designed for that. And also they're made to be replicated. So all the parts are very logically documented, but also where you can find the parts. Because in the end, yeah, they're all shared open source online for free. So you can all download the blueprints and build them anywhere in the world. So that's it for the machines. Now let me show you what you can actually make with them. So currently we already have members all around the world making beautiful objects from recycled plastic. And we really love them, but they're often very small and very much household products, where we think there's much more possible with recycled plastic. And that's what we wanted to see from version 4, like pushing really the boundaries of it. So one of the main things we did is say maybe you shouldn't have to have products as an output, but it could also be raw material, like just making the sheets or making beams, and really use this as a material to make other things with. So for instance, with beams, you could also make different kind of profiles, which is much more versatile to use to construct other things with. So things you could make with that is furniture, like a shelving system, or stools and chairs to sit on. And what we'd like to do here as well is on the one hand make it fully from recycled plastic to just see how far we can push it, like this one or the pink one. but also combine it with other materials to really get a more diverse look into it. So furniture is a nice category to explore more. Another product we made is more for the community that does a lot of events. So Precious Plastic members around the world often do this to educate other people, and they always need to make a product. So we designed a carabiner with a nice mold that you can just inject at once and you have the product. So it's really nice for people to give away. And it also says you can put your website on there, so it's a nice tool for people to just take home and use. Another product I really like is the socket. And mainly because it's just such a boring product, but it's very functional and they're everywhere around us. And they're always made out of virgin material. So we figured maybe we should try to see if we can make them from plastic, from recycled plastic. But this product is like this, sort of resembles this whole category of products that are just very functional and boring, but very much part of our daily lives. And I think we should just start using recycled plastic for that. And it can also just look and feel way more precious and valuable than the original ones. Another product we wanted to make is to see if we can make something big, but not necessarily fully out of recycled plastic, but trying to combine it as well. So here we have a mold, which is a connector piece for a modular structure. So you can make geodesic domes. And here we really use the plastic as being the connector part, because that's sort of the most complex part, with a lot of weird angles, which is perfect for plastic to use with, because you can mold it in the shape. And you really use wood for the structural parts. So it's really a combination of using the best of those two materials. Yeah. And another product we've often been requested by the community, actually, they asked us, can you make a brick? So something to just build something with. So we've been out to explore that, to just see what kind of bricks do we need, what's the size. So we made a lot of prototypes. In the end, we made a brick that you can use to really build something. So here we made a wall, but obviously there's much more possible with this brick. And that's also how we kind of see these products, as a starting point to spark inspiration, but also really to start diving into other categories. And we share all the blueprints open source online, so you can all use it, download it, replicate it, but also improve it. So really see what you can make with this brick. So we're very much looking forward to that. So that's it for the products we developed. You can find them all on the website. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about the business part of version 4 and how you can actually sustain yourself by making all these machines and products. And Joseph is going to talk more about that.
Hi there. So Precious Plastic has always encouraged people to make businesses using our machines and methodology, but we never really provided people the tools, resources, or any examples for how to do that. But the truth is, we like when people make businesses from Precious Plastic. That means they're doing recycling full time, they can hire some people, and they're really pushing the amount of plastic that's out there being turned into something new. So with Precious Plastic version 4, which has some bigger machinery that requires a little bit more investment, we put a lot of time and effort into thinking about, okay, how do we help people make a successful business using Precious Plastic? So our approach was, because we couldn't just make one business plan that was going to apply to all the machines and all these different situations around the world, was to focus on making 3 business tools: the action plan, the workspace calculator, and the business plan template. The action plan is like a quick and dirty business modeling tool where you fill out your mission, your products and services, your target groups, all those different components that are important for really making a successful business. Seems kind of simple at first, but really it's one of those most important parts about doing your business planning. The workspace calculator is a spreadsheet financial forecasting tool where you input your products that you're going to make, how much it's going to cost you, your investment costs like a machine, or your monthly costs like your rent, utilities, all that good stuff. And then you can look at on a monthly basis, okay, I'm going to need to sell this many products and price them at this price point in order to be financially sustainable. You can also see on a monthly basis how much profit I'm going to take home and some nice graphs to help you understand that. The business plan template is a tool, it's kind of like an outline to help you take the information that you created in the first 2 tools and roll that into a full long-form business plan. And a business plan is kind of important for going out there and getting the financial help that you need to start your workspace. So whether that's from a financial institution like a bank or a funding organization that gives out grants, most often they're going to want to see a business plan. So this is an outline tool that you can use. There's some other tools out there on the internet you can use as well. The point is, this is going to help you get that financial funding that's going to help you start your new workspace. The other thing we did was create 5 different business models where we applied these 3 tools to the Precious Plastic version 4 machines. So you can see some examples about, okay, how can I guide my business model towards what has worked currently and what we think is going to work in the future with Precious Plastic. Okay, that's it for the business planning section. And now we're going on to talk about the Precious Plastic BAZAR. So the BAZAR is an online marketplace for buying and selling precious plastic machines, parts, raw materials, and products. It was created during Precious Plastic version 3, but we didn't put that much emphasis on it. We just put a link on our website. But it's now become a really, really important tool as part of our digital infrastructure. And the reason is, on one hand, it can help people get started with precious plastic by buying a machine if they can't make it themselves. And on the other hand, once they get started and they have their workspace, they can sell their products through the BAZAR. So here's a graph showing our transaction volume over time. You can see that in 2017, we started off a little bit slow, but picked up speed in 2018. And by 2019, we were doing 15,000 euros in transaction volume on average per month. And by the end of 2019, we did about 200,000 euros in total transaction volume. And that's great. I think that shows that there's some people out there that are really making some significant income from the BAZAR, as well as some people who are really getting the parts, products, and machines that they need. So here's a breakdown of the sales by category. You can see the machines and machine parts is the biggest category, which kind of makes sense based on the fact that this is one of the only places you can find precious plastic machines. So in 2020, we're going to be putting a lot more investment in time and effort into improving the BAZAR. So stay tuned for those updates and let us know what you think. And for now, Kat is going to tell you a little bit more about the starter kits.
So currently, we have several hundreds of precious plastic workspaces all over the world, which seems like a lot, but on a global scale, it's really not that much. It basically means that the people who run the spaces are globally connected, but locally they're mostly on their own. They need to take care of everything, of collecting, building the machines, shredding all the plastic, and making new products. That's a lot to take care of and requires many different skills. Now we want to help people to focus on what they can do best. So here's the plan. It's not about having individuals recycling around the world. Locally, we need more people to work together and build up a strong and resilient ecosystem. This is what we're launching now with version 4, and we called it the Precious Plastic Universe. And this is how it works. There are many different roles in this universe: collection points, machine shops, workspaces, and community points. Each role focuses on one part, and together with the other parts, it forms the complete ecosystem. Let me show you an example. The collection point focuses on getting the local community to bring their plastic and has the space and people to sort it out into different types. The shredder workspace now gets the plastic from the collection point and just focuses on shredding the plastic into plastic flakes. And then the sheet press workspace gets the shredded plastic and can focus on making high quality sheets. To run a local network, you will need a good bunch of dedicated people who master their role and collaborate with each other to make everything run. To make this easier for everyone, we created this starter kits. We put together packages of everything you need to know to get started with one of these roles, like a collection point or a sheet press workspace. These include blueprints for the machines, floor plans for the whole space, videos on how to set it up and run it, business plans, graphic materials, and more. You can go on preciousplastic.com and see what kind of starter kits we have and see what fits you most. Like if you are more technical, you can be a machine builder, or if you want to design, you can be a workspace, or just bring people together in a community point. Go on the website, check it out, and as always, you can download it for free and get started.
So these are all more the practical and offline tools, but what really makes Precious Plastic unique is its community. People coming together from all around the world to share knowledge and information. And by now we have people almost in every country around the world. And these people most likely will never meet in real life. However, they are connected through our digital tools. And that's very much why these digital tools are so crucial to the project. Up until now, people would meet on our online forums. And these places have always been a bit chaos with like all sorts of information and day-to-day chatting, as well as like more long-term documentation projects. And right at the beginning of the year, we very much decided to split the two so that we would focus more on creating platforms and tools for long-lasting information that will be useful in like 10, 20 years time from now. And whereas for the more short-term information and chats, we're going to be using external tools that are simply faster, better, and more supported. So let me show you what we've been working on for the last 12 months. So now, with the help of our high-tech screen, I'm going to show you the new Precious Plastic digital ecosystem and its tools. So first, we have, of course, the preciousplastic.com website, which very much serves as a showcase of the project, so that people can see who we are, what we do, what we stand for. Second, we have the BAZAR. And as Joseph explained, we're going to be releasing a much stronger, more powerful marketplace that will enable way more people to sustain themselves financially while recycling. Third is our community platform. And this is very much a tool for our community to come together, create knowledge, and share it between each other to tackle the plastic problem. And this time we went full on to really develop it from scratches with our own team, with our own developers in-house right here. And let me show you a few features of this new platform. So feature one is the how-tos. And this is a game-changer tool for precious plastic, very much because up until now, the generation of knowledge was pretty much confined to us here in the headquarters. Whereas with this tool, now we're going to enable people all around the world to share how they do things and how they find solutions to the plastic problem. The how-tos are very simple step-by-step guides filtered by tags. And you can easily see the exponential potential of this tool when it's used by thousands of people all around the world. Second is our map. We already had a map in version 3, but we basically revisited and made sure that we aligned it with the precious plastic universe. It is now a much more powerful and granular map that has different categories for all the different pins and all the workspaces, all the collection points, community points, and machine shops. We used to have the want to get started pins on the map, and we decided to remove that as we envision the community points to be the central place where everyone that wants to get started will come together. Third is the Academy, a central place for all precious plastic knowledge. And from now on, we're going to go much more in detail and in depth with our information. This is the place where you can learn how to build machines, how to make products, how to collect plastic, and so on. And this is the place to go if you want to learn about recycling. Fourth is profiles. And the profiles are very much aligned with the precious plastic universe, and you will be able to create profiles for workspaces, for machine shops, for collection points, for community points, and so on. Last is the event, a place where people that make presentations, precious plastic meetup, or beach cleanups can create an event and share with our community what they're doing, so that we can have a list of events happening at any given time around the world. So these are all the core functionalities of the new Precious Plastic Community Platform. We're releasing in beta, and in the beginning it will be quite buggy, so please bear with us or help us fix those bugs on GitHub. But we believe that this is going to be a crucial tool for precious plastic, as well as other projects around the world. And that's very much why we share all the code open source online for free, so that more people around the world can use it to create their own communities.
So all of these tools, machines, people, infrastructure is part of what we call Precious Plastic Universe. It's a master plan for an alternative recycling system around the world. So machines are a crucial part for the universe to work, because they actually allow people to turn their plastic waste into a new plastic product. And with this new version, we made bigger, better, more efficient machines, so they really allow people to recycle more plastic on a daily basis.
The starter kits are like the Kickstarter of the precious plastic universe. A compressed package of information and tools for people to download online and start.
And for version 4, we created a set of business tools to help people in the universe be successful with their recycling projects, so people can start to make money and recycle plastic full-time as their job.
And our digital tools and platforms will help to connect thousands of recycling entrepreneurs around the world, collaborating and helping each other to fight plastic waste from many multiple angles.
All right, so that's basically everything we developed for the Precious Plastic Universe during version 4. However, during that period, we also had a few side projects going on, so let me show you. So our first research project is sorting. Because this is a big problem in the plastic industry. There's a lot of different types of plastic, but it's hard to identify which type of plastic it is, which makes it difficult to recycle. So we were looking into ways how we, on the one hand, scan the type of plastic to see what it is using advanced scanners. And then also once you know to really sort it out. So that's why we have this robot arm to really sort out the different types of plastic. And this is really like an experimental research project, but it's the first step to see how can we optimize our recycling process. So like I mentioned in the beginning, we also really need to look into alternatives for plastic. Like how can we replace it with less harmful material? So in this area, we really look into finding alternatives for that with more natural materials. For instance, orange peels, coffee grinds, or wheat bran. And here we made a bowl out of it. So you can use this more for festivals. So instead of using a disposable plastic thing, you can use a disposable wheat bran bowl. And in this way, if you throw it away, it can just easily be composted. So we really developed the whole process, but also a machine and the molds, so people can start making this to slowly get more alternatives going. And for both projects, we have much more information on the website with some videos to dive more into it. So I would say have a look there if you're interested to explore more and keep on developing it. All right, so that was all the development we did for version 4. Now there's one last thing I want to talk about. And it's actually the way how we developed this version, because that in itself feels quite unique. So a little over a year ago, we won an award of 300,000 euro. And the local municipality said you can have this empty warehouse for free for 1 year. So we're like, okay, it would be cool if you can invite web designers, machine builders, product designers, vegan chefs, all together to make this new version come to life. And giving them a place to sleep, food, and buying materials so they can all develop. But everyone came as a volunteer. So we did that in the last year. Joseph's going to actually share a few funny facts about that.
Okay, in total, we spent over 290,000 euros to develop Precious Plastic version 4. The biggest spending category was the workspace, where we spent over 100,000 euros to do all the research and development into the new machines. The next biggest category was the kitchen, where we spent 45,000 euros to feed everyone some delicious vegan meals. And the last category was the living expenses, which we spent on giving some houses for people to come and volunteer here. So that might seem like a lot of money, but if you think about it, if we were to pay everyone just the minimum wage, that would account to over 1.5 million euros. So we really benefited from all the people donating their time to work on this project over the year. And people did come from all around the world to come work on this project. The biggest contributor was France with 11 volunteers, followed by the Netherlands and then the United States. We lived in 10 houses with 6 vans as well, and we had 2 dogs stay with us.
Yeah, so that's been quite a fun ride. So massive thanks for FUMC for actually giving us this award. It gave us a lot of freedom to try this out and to really develop in a different way. So big thanks. And thanks for everyone in the Precious Plastic community so far, especially the early adopters that really dared to pioneer and figure a lot of stuff out themselves. So thank you Zelenu, Bob, Shanghai, Ukraine. You guys have really been pushing it. And also all the people that just support us and they give us positive feedback and also the negative ones. So thank you, Gunther. And a huge, massive thanks for all the weirdos all around the world that actually dared to came here to this cold, empty workspace in the Netherlands to spend their free time developing this project. I mean, it was really amazing getting to know all of you guys and seeing all your energy. It's really good. Gave an enormous boost to the project, so awesome. And finally, all the people that have been supporting on Patreon. It feels really good to have this backbone on the internet that makes sure we can financially sustain ourselves over time. So yeah, that's been very awesome. So if you guys want to support, you can go to support.preciousplastic.com and see how you can help us out. For now, thanks for watching, and I think I'm going to clean up all this mess in here. Oh, and make sure to actually watch our promo video and share it around. This is very powerful for the project. So yeah. All right, welcome to the full launch video of Precious Plastic version 4. It's a bit like one of those keynotes where they release a new product, except this one is going to be a bit rougher because we're in a rough building. And also it's going to be quite a lengthy video because, well, it's a lot of work that went in here. 1 year, full development with 100 volunteers, so it's like 90,000
your morning. We appreciate it. Did I leave my notes up here?
Your notes? Oh, down here? Yeah.